If you are a brand new coach or if you are looking at getting into the coaching
You're
world,
not charging enough.
you need to know what to charge. Absolutely. And there's a couple different ways to go about doing that. I would strongly encourage you not to go find your first business guru and say, hey, how do I charge what I'm worth? Because they're going to be like, oh man, just charge 4x the industry average. That's how you get skin in the game. That's how you get buy-in. That's how you get people to do what you want. Frankly, most people probably shouldn't start there, but where should we start?
Welcome back to
Beyond the Pump.
where
We talk about
the business
of
fitness
and
nutrition.
psychology, nutrition. Yes, welcome back, guys. We are here for a rousing episode at Beyond the Pump where we talk about the business of fitness and nutrition. And today we have a juicy topic set aside for you. And it's something that if you are a brand new coach or if you are looking at getting into the coaching
You're
world,
not charging enough.
you need to know what to charge. Absolutely. And there's a couple different ways to go about doing that. I would strongly encourage you not to go find your first business guru and say, hey, how do I charge what I'm worth? Because they're going to be like, oh man, just charge 4x the industry average. That's how you get skin in the game. That's how you get buy-in. That's how you get people to do what you want. Frankly, most people probably shouldn't start there, but where should we start? So we are talking about pricing your services in a way that feels great to you and is valuable for your clients.
So the first thing before we actually get into the actual price side of things here is if you are talking to the wrong people, you don't have your ICP nailed down, you're not sure where they're hanging out, you don't have the right offer, all those components, no matter what, your price is always going to be mismatched with who you're trying to solve a problem for. Now, it might be mismatched in your favor where you pitch the price and you're like, yeah, no problem. And you're like, damn it, I should charge more.
Yeah.
Or mismatched against you where they're just going to tell you no repeatedly because it is something that doesn't make sense for them. So just that context, listen to the prior episode. We break down some of those components. But you need to make sure you're pitching the right price, the right offer to the right people. Otherwise, things just aren't going to add up for them.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's Jim Collins in Good to Great. There talks about the hedgehog concept, where you find what can drive your economic engine, what can make you money, what are you really good at, and what do you really love doing, and finding the thing that intersects in all those. We hope is health coaching, which is obviously the thing that we are here to really help bring awareness and education around as it relates to integrating fitness, integrating nutrition, integrating relationships into a sustainable, meaningful side hustle and or main way to pay your bills. So all that to say, let's talk about charge rates, Steve. What do you see in charge rates?
There's no perfect path to choosing how much you should charge. But the way that I've always gone around this is what is the minimum viable price for me to charge at a reasonable client load to make all of my ends meet from a business and a personal perspective, because obviously you need to make money in your business, pay the operational fulfillment expenses, and then you also need to take money home to pay for your life and personal expenses. So reverse engineering that, let's say, hey, I know I can handle 20 clients, and out of those 20 clients, I need to go ahead and make $2,000 a month or ends won't meet. If you do that math very quick, that's $1,000 per client per month that you want to go ahead and call it start minimally charging in order to make the business work. If you look at it that way, you're either going to go down this road of, oh, that feels too cheap, or, oh, that feels expensive. Probably going to be the rare one here of, yeah, that feels just right. But out of the gates, you need to build confidence. You need to understand, are people willing to say yes to this price? You need to make sure you feel that you can provide that value. You need to make sure you're able to solve the problems that would require that kind of price. And if we use $100 in that example, I feel like most people who have a singular certification can walk out the door and say, hey, $100 a month, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now, do I think that's what you should always be charging? Absolutely not. You should be able to charge more than that as time goes on. But I would say get your first set of clients at a reasonable price that you can scale up, make ends meet, and then as those clients end up leaving the business, you then bring people in at a higher price point and increase that from natural attrition would be my path. And maybe the right answer is I need $4,000 from 20 people, so it's $200 a month, or I need $6,000 from 20 people, and it's $300 a month. If you start pushing $400, $500, $600 a month, you probably need to figure out, how do I get more clients so I can charge them less, or needing less money maybe for now.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, for the people that are brand new, obviously, like, my takeaway from that is just start lower and then kind of caterpillar your way up, replacing the people that you were charging not enough for on the back end as you gain more experience, more wisdom, which is the applied knowledge that you accumulate as a coach. Maybe you get another certification, maybe you get another year of experience. Like, your rates probably should go up every year that you're coaching. Now, I will say that if we look at this from the principle of basic economics, supply and demand, right, things that drive price action, we know that the more plentiful something is, the less valuable it inherently becomes. We know that the less demand there is for something, the less valuable it is. So then the idea kind of becomes, well, if you have a lot of time available and not a lot of people are asking for your thing, you should probably charge a little bit less. And that's where we suggest most coaches start somewhere around half, if not a little bit less than the industry average, which we collect that information. So if you want to know, we're happy to send it over. But in the last census we completed, we found that the average online coach, if that's your demo, the online coach charged about an average of $230 per month. So if you're brand new, you're probably not average yet. Makes sense. You need some experience. Maybe you need a couple more certifications. The average coach also had 3 certifications. They had 1 fitness one and I believe 2 nutrition ones is kind of how we canvassed that. So for a total of 3. So if you don't meet those criteria and you're not feeling great about it, then there's nothing to say that you should charge more, right? Charge whatever you're going to be able to comfortably ask the other person for, which, I mean, your average health and fitness app is going to be anywhere from $10 to $20 a month. Chronometer is the nutrition tracking app that we suggest and we integrate in our courses as of current day in 2025. And Chronometer will take some of that. But when we think about the nature of, you are not just an app, there's also time involved. And so now you charge per hour, right? $20 an hour is not crazy. So if you charge $20 for the basic service and then $20 for a weekly coaching conversation, that's $100 right there. Right, so that's a really great way for most people to start to wrap their brain around, well, okay, $100 I can justify because I'm going to put an hour of time into that person every week. But then as you get better solving problems, exactly what Steve said, your value inherently goes up. As you solve more problems, your demand should also go up because people will now see that you can do something that might be helpful for them. They might start to seek you out. That takes a little bit of time. But then as you get more sought after, then your supply goes down because you have less time to coach people, which then means your price goes up. So this is why we say over time, the more people you coach, which you have to start coaching, whether it's for free or for fees, but you need to get busy with coaching in general.
So to get to a direct answer here and not have to be some ambiguous, what should I actually do? If you're brand new, I would suggest, and I'd be curious, your thoughts here. Yeah. Your out of the gates price, brand new coach is probably $120 to $150 a month. And that is, I think you need to keep service delivery, some of those things inherently understood. If you're in a gym and you're doing per session, that's going to throw a kind of wrench into that. But I would say out of the gates, online coach, $125, $150 a month would be a good sweet spot to test having to pitch a price. Do something that generally speaking would be reasonable. You go out and you get 20 clients, that's going to be $3,000. You get 30 clients, that's going to be $4,500. Yeah. And that to me is a very reasonable out of the gate starting situation for you to build that confidence. Once you move through that, I would probably go more so than, okay, great, I'm going to do my first price increase. It's been a year. I'm at my 20 or 30 capacity. I've added on an hour certification or 2 and I'm more qualified to solve deeper problems. I'd probably think more in the range of 200 to 225 at this point in time. And that would be that next layer. The maximum, I think you have another step in there, but again, just more of the same things. The maximum that your basic coach, like, hey, I'm going to give you some macros, some nutrition guidance, and some workout plans that I say you should be doing is somewhere in the $350-ish range per month, maybe $400. if you start solving truly within scope, all the things extra above and beyond. So talk about like blood testing and hormones and, SIBOs and all of this stuff that's out there. I'm not saying
What's a SIBO, Steve?
this isn't a whether it makes sense, it's real or not thing. This is if you start to add more true, very niche down stuff, then fine, you can charge more. But I feel like top of range for your basic stuff is going to be in that 350, 400 a month. Would be my own thoughts. I don't know if you.
Well, I mean, we know that if you just take the average bell curve, we know that there are people that don't charge anything, which actually is in our census, the majority of people, I would say like over half of people that we collected weren't doing anything with their certifications. They just sat. And so that really started to prompt us with, well, why are coaches not out there earning their initial investment, their education that, these companies had sold them. And it was really sad to see is because there was a lack of confidence. So this kind of really goes back to, that's why supply and demand are really important to consider, because when you have more supply, you're going to feel less valuable because you now are also doing the thing that you say you're an expert in less, which means you're going to be more of an amateur. And that's going to really get in your head. So I personally like to do 2 for free, do 2 for 50, do 2 for 100. And then by the time, because we know that people don't pay much, are inherently going to churn out faster. They're just a placeholder so you can get some practice reps. It's not even about getting those people their goal, although that is obviously the goal, but it's about using those people to help you build your systems. So you're almost getting paid to fuck around and find out what works well for the people, what people you actually want to work with, what people you don't want to work with. So it's really a mutual benefit. And we hear people balk at like, well, I don't want to do that for $50. I'm like, honestly, it's like an hour of your time a month. If you just have like a spreadsheet check-in and you find out that doesn't work, so there's any number of ways to go through that, but add to. And so by the time you're at your 10 client mark, which is a nice healthy roster from a size perspective, you'll know how to manage a roster of 10 and you won't feel so much pressure that if you get and ramp to like the average really quickly, you're probably going to take on too many clients at a time. If that's a problem that you have, the champagne problem, that's amazing, right? Not very common, by the way. The average coach accumulates, the ones that do have clients, about half a client a month. And those are generally speaking in the online space. So it's really conservative. Now, they're also not super savvy with a lot of the business stuff. We find that that's a very important thing that most coaches really struggle with. So that's why we're doing episodes like this, so that way you guys can start to wrap your brain around these things. And when we do our workshops or Q&As or live calls for our community and stuff like that, you can just bring those questions and we're happy to answer them for you. But I like the 2 and bump kind of method. So by the time you're at 10, I think that puts you at about 250. And then you just replace the 2 at 50. Hopefully they're gone by now. With 2 more at 250. And then you place the 2 at 100, 2 more with. And so I think that usually makes a lot of sense for what I've seen.
Yeah. I like that idea. Every level, slowly grow it.
Yeah.
There's nothing against